it looks like everybody survived last night. Most people have changed their clothes since last night, which is a good sign. I don't think there's any mysterious tattoos that have showed up, but feel free to go eat, and we'll get this kicked off. And these microphones are going to come very handy too, because we're going to pass them around, and whoever wants to tell a nice story about Frank, please do so.
I just want to say one thing about Frank. I'm really proud of him being inducted in the Hall of Fame. I get to work with him a lot. We have a lot of windshield time in the F-250 in Mexico, as well as a lot of office time. And most of the time we get along, so that's good. But one thing that sticks out in my mind when it comes to Frank is a couple of years at the Baja 1000. If anybody knows Frank during the Baja 1000, he's got a lot going on, a lot of responsibility. And here we are at the end of the race, and we have some vans that we rented to go down in Baja. And our wonderful crew brought the vans back, and they were all tired from having such a long, hard weekend of racing. And they decided that the vans were clean enough to return to Baja rents. Frank and I got in the vans and said, these are not clean enough. So we went down to the local car wash and washed them all, started vacuuming them out. Here's Frank DeAngelo, who has all this responsibility and has earned his way up the ladder after 35 years. And here he is washing vans. And there's no job too small for the guy. And if that's not an example for a younger guy like me that says, hey, you know, you just ran one of the greatest pit programs out there in the desert, organized everything, did all that, and here you are cleaning the van. There's no job too small, so never get too big for something like that. And that stuck out in my mind, and there's a ton of stories I could tell about things that he does that every young guy should be able to see and follow. So I appreciate the examples that he sets every day. And it's a pleasure to work for him, and a privilege to work for him. And so there's a serious story. Now let's get some fun stories. And somebody kick it off.
Last night was an incredible tribute to Frank, the people that were here. And I know that there are people all over the country that wanted to be here, and for whatever reason they couldn't make it. You really know, I think, you have a friend. You spend seat time or windshield time getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, whether you're sleeping out on the ground in Baja or you were lucky enough to get into a motel. And already Frank and Jeff are up and the coffee pot's going, and then they got little goodies to eat in the morning, and we're burning daylight. And we just got up, we went to bed about a half an hour ago and went through the worst time in our lives in the evening, and here we are going to try to find out where we're going to go. And Frank and the people that he associated with his company, BF Goodrich and the agency, have always been that right from the beginning, almost 40 years ago for me personally. Frank is such a unique individual. You had a BFG shirt on or whatever it was, and you're standing next to the tractor trailer, but you helped everyone. You really made this beautiful sport of off-roading a family group. You helped anyone and everyone out there. Oscar and I would be out on the course looking, months before the race. We got stuck a few times. And boy, he was right back there with the tow rope. Incredible knowledge of vehicles. What do you call it? In GPS or something in his brain that knows where he is out there at all times. I think all of you really feel the same way that I do. Friendship is really something in life. And if we're lucky enough to have one friend, we are the luckiest people in the world. And to have a friend like Frank DeAngelo, the BFG family, to be a friend is something, Frank. And in my twilight years now, I'll never forget that. You've been such a great person to myself and Barbara and the Score off-road community that that's what made it all worth it every day. Getting up and going out there and doing the things we do. I appreciate it. I wish you in your career now everything the best. And I hope we will see each other at different locations and different things now that I'm not as involved in doing that. And I'm looking forward to seeing you as a friend and having a drink together like we've always been able to do somehow at 3 in the morning or whatever, pull out that great tequila bottle or 4 or whatever it is and continue our job. To you, Frank, thank you. You've been a great friend. Appreciate it very much.
Frank, first of all, congratulations. Many stories are going to be told today, but I have so many that I don't have one specific. I just want to thank you for your friendship. You've been always there for me, for the sport. And I just want to mention something. He's always with a pleasant, nice smile. We've been through very tough moments, very stressful, and you have never lost your calm. And that's something to admire. I really am honored to be your friend, and I wish you the best.
I met Frank, I think about 1975 at Riverside, and I told Casey the story last night. You almost have to have a visual of this, so I think Frank remembers this. We're in the pits at Riverside, and you know, the tractor trailers are pretty high. The steps that go into the tractor trailers. And these guys had had a few beers, and Frank was a truck driver at the time, and they were making a bet that Frank couldn't ride a 3-wheeler up the stairs into this tractor trailer, right? And I'm sitting back watching this thing. Damn, Marty, you can't do that. I don't think you can get a 3-wheeler up. And I'm thinking, why don't you just bet and ride out of the 3-wheeler or out of the trailer? Anyway, he revs his motor up, and he goes up, and he jumps up and does the backwards pirouette and hits the ground, brushes himself up. Damn, that's my kind of guy. We're going to get along, you know. Well, I hit the break in his neck, but Frank has been fantastic over the years. You know, I always wanted to build a log house in the mountains someplace, and I heard that Frank DeAngelo was building one in Warren, Ohio. It was. So when I saw Frank, and sure enough, he's building this log house up there and pounding nails. And I thought, gosh, if he can do it, I can do it, you know. So I came back and built me a log house. And I had a great time doing that, and he ended up staying with me a few times in our log house. But, you know, all the testing we did, the racing, the fun we've had at short course testing and desert racing, and going to the score show, and you know, just fun times that you know, that every time you tell a story, or I think of Frank or some of the friends that he has, or mutual friends that we have, this reminds me of another story, another fun thing that we've done. I put together a little list of mutual friends that you and I have, Frank, and a lot of people in the room may also know these people. They only need one name. And if you haven't met some of these, you know, if you got one first name and people know who you are, then it's pretty cool, you know. But Scoop. I mean, what a great guy. The stories, I didn't get a chance to meet Scoop Vessels. I mean, you really miss up. It reminds me of all the fun that we had with Scoop and Parnelli, obviously Walker, Coco and Charlotte. Sal, obviously, one name. If you say Sal, you know exactly who you're talking about. Bauer, Robbie, and Bob Gordon, is their last name. Casey, obviously. And all the memories that we have that cross, you know, you think about it, you know, you have memories with certain people, but then you connect the people together, and that brings up another story, another friendship. And so anyway, we've had a ton of fun, Frank, and wish you all the best. And I looked at that list of nominees last night in the Hall of Fame, and if they had a contest, you'd be right at the tip top of that list, believe me. I mean, you contribute a lot to the sport, and a lot of people know it. And thanks for being a friend, and congratulations again.
I spent a lot of windshield time with Frank in the pre-runs. For the most part, he was pretty good. He'd get cranky on occasion, of course I would too. But I originally started doing pre-running with him to check out where mountaintop relay sites might be, just running the course with him. Then he put me on work, doing the GPSs, which was in its infancy at that point in time. Writing the notes. The thing about Frank and writing the notes, he's the driver. We come up to an intersection, and Frank says, "Oh, okay, we got a intersection here. Let's make a cross symbol, and then this right, we're going to stay left or right." Before I could even write down the symbol, he's already taken off, saying, "We're running daylight." I have lousy handwriting, and I've never improved. that Frank has a sense of humor as well. We're going down the roads, we run across cattle or horses. He can talk to those animals very well. They will wink back at him. They'll come over the fence where he is, talking to him. And we get to a military checkpoint with a not a seasoned chase crew behind us. We clear the checkpoint. Guess what sounds are coming over the radio back in the chase car? Sounds of horses, sounds of cows. The wise guys would get smart and turn the radio down as soon as we got to the checkpoint. But Frank, it's been a pleasure working with you, and it's many, many memories, and you made a big difference in my life. Congratulations once again.
From the McMillan family, McMillan Racing, thank you is not enough. But thank you for what you've done for our sport, and out there months ahead of time scouting out the courses, and I'll never quit asking you a question I've always started asking you in January. Where's the 1,000 going? Because for our family, we started thinking about it. And I only got 6 hours now until I'm going to know, but where's the 1,000 going? So thank you very much.
Very awesome. You are the man. I wrote it on your little pad over there. You are the man. I don't have a famous story with Frank, but I will tell you just a little history of Best in the Desert and BFG. When I first started my first car and truck race in 1996, Vegas to Reno, I begged BFG to be involved with us, because everybody that would call me in regards to the race, they would go, is BFG going to be there? God, I hope so. And I think it was your predecessor, Dan Newsom, if I remember. I might be wrong in the name, but I think that's who it was. And I called him. They actually sent Jeff Cummings as a little spy there to watch on Best in the Desert to see who we were. Long story short, Best in the Desert's grown over the period of years, and I contribute a lot of our success to you and BFG, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, as well as BFG, for helping out Best in the Desert, and not just Best in the Desert, but the sport. Without BFG and without what you're doing, I think our sport would be way down from where it's at today. So I thank you on behalf of everybody involved with our sport, and once again, I congratulate you.
Frank probably doesn't know this, but we have a little nickname for Frank. We call him the principal. A lot of people ask me why I don't have kids, and I always tell them because I have 100 employees, my friend Dusty and Rob McCackern, that I have to take care of. So the first time I went to the principal's office was the first time that Rob raced for under the Mastercraft banner, and we showed up at Laughlin with one trophy truck and one pro truck, and I guess Frank thought we shouldn't put Rob McCackern in a pro truck and racing trophy truck. So we got called to a meeting in our toter home, and came out of the meeting, and Kelly goes, so what happened? I says, well, we just went to the principal's office. So, but that is what Frank is for the whole off-road racing industry. He is the voice of reason. I've called and asked him questions about business. How do I handle this? Sal's being mean to us. He penalized us. What do I do? And so all those things, he's always been there for us. And I want to thank him for that. He has been the voice of reason for off-road racing in the desert community and short course and everything else for many, many years. The other time that I had to have a talk with the principal, we decided in 2007 that we weren't going to race the Baja 1000, but we wanted to get back a little bit. So Bill Barnes and I got together, and that's always a bad thing. And so, like we do everything else, it was full tilt. And so we decided we're going to do it. We took 54 guys to 24-foot box trucks, to toter homes, a kitchen, generators, lights. And so we sent this manifest to Frank, and we got a call, and he says, I got your manifest here. This is all good. He says, but why is there a tractor in here? So he wouldn't let me bring my tractor to Rosario. So, thank you, Frank, for everything you've done for the sport, from a business standpoint, from a race standpoint, race team standpoint, and from a racer. Thank you for all you've done.
Every time I've been with you, it's just been a good time and a good memory, and it goes back a lot of years. I was actually sponsored by the tire company when I first started years ago, and I remember I wanted to switch over, and I got with you, and I said, look, can I just get a deal on these tires? And you said, I'll do better, and then we'll take care of you. Anyway, it's been a long relationship. And I look back from the time when Steve Spearkoff, who I see over there, built my first truck, and we won those races, to the time when we came to the SCORE Awards banquet the night before, and we went out in the harbor of San Diego, and we had a great time. I think Rob was with us, and you invited me to be a Rough Rider, which was still one of the biggest days of my life. And going towards the Raptor program that you flew up and spent all that time in Detroit on those meetings, and then where I am today with an awesome trophy truck. And just, I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for both me and just the good memories. So thank you, Frank.
Frank, when I see that name B.F. Goodrich up there, Frank DeAngelo comes to mind. It's just automatic. But I want to thank B.F. Goodrich for all the great things they have done. Because if it wasn't for them, Goodyear wouldn't have called me up in '77 and said, we got to build a radial tire to go after B.F. Goodrich. Believe me, that was the leading company in so many ways, and they still are. To this day, we'll still race you up the stairs, bringing the film for the Mickey Thompson events. And don't get it out. I'll tell you, those were the days, and those are great memories. I'm happy to be sitting here acknowledging you in the Hall of Fame, Frank. You deserve it. More cup to you.
So one event, Frank comes, and we kind of hung out, and I said, sure enough, BF's coming. Sure they did. A better, stickier tire. That was Frank's doing.
Frank, I just want to say from the Tubworks family and from me, thank you for your support over the years with my dad and my brothers. And the relationship with Terrell Herbst and BFG is second to none. We really appreciate the support of our family, and we really do look forward to the future with you guys.
Frank, I just want to thank you from our team. You've been with us since day one and helped us. Actually, you were our very first sponsor, and we're still on your tires and look to stay that way. So thank you, and thank you for helping Bryce's career. We really appreciate it.
I just want to say congratulations on this accomplishment. It's huge. Thank you for the support since day one. When I first started racing, I had a silver buggy, not a paint scheme on it, and there's a BFG logo. So, thank you for helping me throughout my career, and just really want to say congrats on this. It's huge. So, awesome job.
Steve told me the story in a way different way. He had a silver buggy with one sticker on it. It was B.F. Goodrich. And Bryce went out and I believe won pretty quick. And Steve said, I got a set of tires, and that one set of tires has cost me millions. So thanks a lot, I think is how he told the story to me.
Hey Frank, congratulations, it's awesome. I drove for some other people in here before. Walker, thank you, Phyllis. You guys gave me the beginning of what turned out to be a great career. And Frank kind of probably helped steal me from you guys. It was 1987 and up racing in Colorado, and I was battling Mark McMillan in the race, and he was the Class 1 champion at the time, and I pulled out in the brush and passed him and ended up winning the race. And I was at the finish line all by myself. Got out of that single seat Cheneth and popped the lid open, and I looked over and I saw that whole race. That was when you had some TV people doing the riding with scoop vessels, and I knew BFG they were the place to be, and I saw Frank at that moment, and I said, someday, I want to be on those tires. And ultimately, when we came together, my career really escalated, and you directed me in a lot of ways that really helped me get to where I'm at today. I can't thank you enough for that, because I am today what I am because of you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. It's nobody deserves it more. My very first time of experiencing off-road was with B.F. Goodrich tires, and just like Bryce, I had B.F. Goodrich on the side of my car. I was racing in Chenoweth, and I just thought, wow, this is a fantastic program. You know, we can race in the race, and my only pit crew was my wife, and she was driving a chase truck with no parts or anything. But we had a couple spare tires, and Jeff Goodrich took them to a few pits for us, and we didn't know about catheters or any of that kind of stuff. So at the pit stops, we relieved ourselves out in the bushes, and we didn't really know much about racing, but I had the greatest experience of my life racing with B.F. Goodrich. And that's why I'm here today, and that's why I love this sport. Thank you very much.
When I first started racing in 1990, I had been doing a bunch of work with another tire company too, and we had factory teams and stuff, and when the time came to make the decision, it wasn't really a decision, I was getting some tires. It was great to be with the BFG brand because they were going to be around for so long. You just had this sense that they had this continuing. And to me, this award for you, Frank, is actually for a long line of people that have kind of helped build this up. The Herb Johnsons of the world, the Dan Newsoms of the world, all the guys who made all the pits happen. I think this is kind of a culmination for all of that. And I think if there's one thing that Frank's done for this industry, he's done a lot for the racers, but the real thing is like Robbie said, you know, you kind of get schooled in the back room with the principal. I mean that in a good way, because there's been so many programs that we've been able to put through together that nobody even knows he was involved with. You know, getting the book down was all because of him. Getting a lot of Best to Glory happened because of him. I mean, all these things are kind of ancillary to actually on racing, because they're kind of building the industry. Frank had a hand in with me and a lot of other people, and I got to thank you for that, because without that kind of guidance, and you know, I talked about the Code of the West last night. I mean, I didn't even realize when I did the video for him that he knew. I figured he might have known what that was, because it was something that we did at a trade show a long time ago. But Frank lives those codes. There's 10 codes of ethics, of riding the brand, and you know, do what you say, and all those things that you know, I think everybody in this whole sport has learned from. Because it goes way beyond racing, just being a good human. So Frank, thank you for all that, and thank you for all the people at B.F. Goodrich who've helped you and helped you get here, and congratulations.
My relationship with B.F. Goodrich, friendship with Frank. For all I know, I don't know, I probably had BFGs on my stroller. I mean, I grew up in the sport. And in doing so, just an unfathomable amount of stories of just things with my dad and I. In the day when we first got our semi, Frank was, gosh, I think he was trying to kill us with the most unfathomable places we could put our semi into. You know, can you get it into El Reo? Yeah. Okay, sure. We were up for the challenge like always, and bring chainsaws and everything else, and stick that sucker all the way up in there. It just the numerous amount of stories and people that I've met and everything. It's been a great pleasure to be a part of the BFG family, and can't imagine it without you, Frank. So, at any rate, congratulations, man. Very, very, very well deserved.
Ron Hall has been around this thing longer than anyone else. And I just want you to know, Frank and I both started the sport as truck drivers. And Frank, you know, he moved on to be the high llama, and I'm still a damn truck driver. So I wish he'd have kind of told me a secret, and maybe I could be managing something. So glad to have you at work, Frank.
Frank DeAngelo is not a reasonable man at all. He had the mental dysfunction to think that he could be a truck driver. He could, and all these things you're talking about, he could be a leader of industry, he could be a maker of men, a builder of business, all these things. And all Frank really is, ever was, or ever will be, is a mechanic. Frank makes things work. And, you know, it started off with Frank and I back in, let's say the two tigers were hanging around and stuff like that. We had a training tour we were going to do around the country. And we were all pretty much doing these things on our own, so we had this truck driver, Frank. He worked for a gal named Nancy Reinhardt. We had boxes of books and tires and display things and all these kind of things. Frank found a way for us to get a tractor and trailer. It really wasn't. He borrowed a guy's fifth wheel and a horse trailer named Bob Augusta. And we took that thing, he just loaned it to Frank. And this is how people in Northeast Ohio trust each other. Frank took that trailer out We loaded it up, we broke the truck, we broke the trailer, we made every destination because he's a goddamn mechanic. He can make it work. He's been a mechanic for everything he's had to do. Well, I think I'm fortunate just to be in the same room for as many miles as I've seen Frank go. He's always on the move. I actually sat in the back of the tractor trailer. I kind of laid there because they had this little bunk. And watch him and another DeAngelo named Sandy. We're booking down the road in Baja, and as they're looking at it, well, it's time for us. We got to switch drivers. So they do. Now, you and I would park the truck to do this. But no, we got the DeAngelo dance going on. Frank stands up from behind the wheel, kind of steps over the doghouse, what do you call the damn thing? It was cleaner than a whistle. And then Sammy would slip in, and that truck was doing Frank speed, which is about 90, really. I think the only guy that drives faster than him now is Tom Hoover. Frank is a mechanic. I really believe that. He makes things work. And I find it an honor to be in a room with a guy that can mechanic and MacGyver at so many levels. Principal officer not, he made things work. And look at all the work he's provided for all of us. So Frank, I'm tickled to be your friend. That's all we end up with in this deal, guys. Doesn't matter how many trophies you got. I really believe this. All you end up with is memories, friends, and 8x10. So look at the friends we have in this room here this morning. Thank you, Frank.
Well, I was pretty fortunate because I wasn't part of the brain trust. I used to go change tires for free t-shirts. It was a career aspiration to see just how many free t-shirts I could get out of BFG for changing tires for free. And pretty early on, I got hooked up with Frank. Not out in the dirt, not in an off-road race, but actually at Road America. How many of you have ever ridden in closed dryer? See, you think this off-road racing stuff is exciting. You guys need to set your sights a little higher. Because I think between the two of us, we had scrounged up enough cash to get ourselves a 12-pack of beer, and you haven't lived till you've been drinking some cheap beer and head down to Laundromat, which conveniently enough was within walking distance. And while Bob talks about being a great mechanic, the one thing we went down there, we got a change, but we couldn't quite get the thing to work. It had some kind of little safety switch apparently we should have been trying to defeat before we drank the beer. The other folks in the Laundromat did the right thing. They could have called police. They could have tried to stop us. They seemed to think it was just easier to leave. Other than trying to get in and out of it, we never actually got it to spin under power. And rather dejectedly headed back to the hotel that evening, because neither one of us was responsible enough at that point to be left with the keys to a rental car or anything else. All the rest of the bosses were like, the two of you can room together. Now, rooming together with Frank is quite an experience, because I like to deploy things when I check into a room, and Frank, of course, has a fairly neat, progressive way of doing things. And Frank, trying not to hurt my feelings over the years, because apparently one of the things that has led us to consume quite a bit of tequila is that if you drink enough tequila and get to sleep fast enough, you don't have to actually listen to the other person snoring. Frank apparently thinks I snore worse than he does. It took until a couple of years ago for us to, things ended up rather strangely. We were actually going to have our own rooms this night, which went awry, and the next morning, Frank walks up to me, looks like he's had like 2 seconds of sleep. He goes, I used to think you could snore. I'm never rooming with Wild Bill. For most of us, you would recognize the voice of BFG Relay 12. But apparently I can't hold a candle to him when it comes to snoring. So after Frank had spent all this time trying to make certain he wasn't rooming with me any longer, apparently I'm quite a prize. What started out with the two of us changing tires, and amazingly enough, we can still do it, although it's been, fortunately, a few years now. Frank likes to get things going in the morning. If you've ever traveled with Frank, he'll tell you what time we're leaving, and you better be ready to go, or you will find that Frank is gone, and you will be playing catch-up the entire rest of the day. We're down at the 500. We're on the parking lot, ready to go. We were supposed to be leaving at 8 o'clock. It's now 5 minutes to 8, and the only two people that are standing there is Frank and I. It's 3 minutes to 8, and Frank says, we gotta get going. There's no sense in taking all the vehicles, just jump in with me. So we leave. I'm thinking, well, this will be a good lesson for the rest of the crew. Frank had already thought this through a little bit further than me. I didn't realize I was going to have an apron on and be back in the truck changing tires. It seemed like such a good idea to Frank at that point in time, and Charlie Inglewood is walking down contingency, and he sticks his head in the trailer, and here's Frank and I with the aprons on, trying to rustle the tires that, thank God we don't do that anymore. 33-inch tires were fine, 35-inch tires, not so bad. 37 and 40-inch tires, that's nonsense. We're in there wrestling the tires, and Charlie looks and sees nobody but the two of us on the tire machines and goes, I don't even want to know what happened today. The rest of the crew showed up about an hour and a half later and wanted to know if Frank was going to reimburse them for their taxi ride. Not one of the smarter things I have ever seen someone ask. I won't say the entire crew has changed since then, but there was a lot of new faces at the next race. Most of them decided that it would be a good career move to try and find something else to do. Not that Frank was willing to get rid of them, because he was able to get even with them much better as long as they were under his domain there. You know, over the years we've started a number of traditions. Apparently we're going to have to come up with something different, because last year it all of a sudden turned into a spectator sport. As a board member of the Off-Road Hall of Fame, Frank, I think this might be a fundraiser that you could actually do, because apparently watching us after the 1,000, we could sell tickets based on the folks that showed up to watch us last year. Frank and I, when the race gets done, sit down and smoke a couple of rather expensive cigars, and the price of admission is a bottle of tequila. And this takes place once we have done whatever responsible things we need to do, and we sit there until the tequila is gone. If you're not able to do that, then you shouldn't come. But I think that could be your new fundraiser. We could sell tickets. We get up and there's generally quite a mess, and empty bottles, and recollections of trying to get lots of people where they went in one piece. I've been fortunate for a little better than 35 years of calling this guy my friend. If you're ever in an absolute dogfight and you need somebody to have your back, there's no better person on the planet that you want to be tangled up with than Frank DeAngelo. And the sport and all of us that can call him friend are lucky for it. Thank you.